I'm going to be honest with you. The reason that I created this lesson was because I was sick and tired of students coming. We would be working on metaphors in class, and I would tell them that it means, comparing two things using like or as. Well, I would explain that a simile is comparing two things using like or as, and a metaphor is it's just comparing two things. And so I would get these cute metaphors like the cat walked like a little mouse, or the skunk walked like a train, or the man ran like a a cheetah or something like that, or I'd get something about hot Cheetos or something like that. And I wanted to try to move away from that. And so I wanted to kind of constrict students, but at the same time give them room to create meaningful literary metaphors. And so by the end of this lesson, I'm hoping that what I after I created this lesson, I was hoping that students would be able to use a certain kind of semantic map to analyze words and then compare two semantic maps to look for commonalities between two objects and create meaningful literary metaphors. I don't care if students can say things like the cat was was like a clown. Okay, I understand that it's easy to just put like in something and make it into a simile. But I wanted students to create metaphors that would actually mean something. And so I would have students break down a word. The first in the upper left-hand corner, I would have them break down the components of the word, and I would first explain it mathematically because students don't always understand what a component is. And I would say, okay, what's the component of 8? And the students, what? The students would be like, what are you talking about? And I would say, okay, a component of 8. It'd be like 5 plus 3 is 8. 5 and 3 are both components of 8 because they add up to 8. So what are the things that add up to 8? And we talked about components and what it means and how to break down a word. And then we talked about what is this word or what do you do with this word? And then in the upper right hand corner, what might this word symbolize? If we were talking about a wall, it might symbolize a challenge in your life that you can't get through. And what is your personal experience with this word? So we took words like tree, and we said, okay, well, what makes up a tree? It has roots, branches, leaves. Sometimes it has fruit. It has bark. Okay, so what is a tree? What does a tree do? It can provide you shade. It breathes in CO2, breathes out oxygen. Sometimes it grows fruit. You could have students come up with more answers. What might a tree symbolize? It might symbolize nature, seasons, old age because of the rings in the tree. And I just wrote this cute little personal experience. I used to climb trees a lot when I was little because we had a huge tree in our front yard that grew oranges. And then we took another word like painting and we said, okay, well, what makes up a painting? You got the canvas, you need oils or paint, you need to create some lines on there, you need to be able to blend colors, and these are all components of a painting. And what does a painting do, or what is a painting used for, or what is it? A painting is a work of art that often represents an artist's view of the world. Sometimes the artist helps us to look at the world in a new way. And then what might a tree symbolize? It might symbolize art, beauty. It might symbolize beauty if you're talking about a beautiful picture. It might symbolize darkness if you're talking about, something that's dark. It might symbolize sadness. There's so many different things a painting might symbolize. And then personal experience, I went to France. I saw one of the most beautiful paintings in the world, the Mona Lisa. It was beautiful, but it was smaller than I imagined. I mean, the thing's not that big. And then students, the first step in creating a metaphor is something that you kind of need to tap into students' ability, tap into what students already do. They create analogies every day, and sometimes they just don't know it. If you listen to them for any length of time, you'll hear that they're making analogies all the time. It's like, and they'll explain what something's like or what something's not like, and they're able to work between things in a lot of ways. And so maybe the first step would just be to have them create an analogy like I did. And so I said something like, just as a painting hangs in a gallery, so it looks like a tree is hanging in winter. And so the students see that there's this the commonality of hanging, and then they can take it a step further in the second step and make the actual metaphor. I strongly encourage at the beginning of making of metaphors to have students use positive phrases like spare and white, sparse and white. The painting, sparse and white, hung like a tree in winter. Because those are positive phrases make the student pause and really think about adjectives or descriptive words that will describe this painting or this tree in winter. And you really need to provide a lot of models for them. I have on the if you click on the links below the video, you'll see all my resources. I have it all on Scribd for you. And if you click on it, you'll see all the resources, you'll see what it's made of, you'll see how to do it. It's a fairly simple lesson, but I really think that kids need to know how to write metaphors because it helps them think through things. It helps them think through things like conflict, things like how, and it helps them to come up with new ways to think about things because that's what metaphors are. It's a new way of thinking about an object that we see every day. And that's that.